Hi YouTube friends. I wanted to talk to you today about Egyptian walking onions. A lot of times I talk about how to save the seeds, but this one's pretty obvious. These are Egyptian walking onions. I don't know, you may have heard of them, maybe not. They seem to be relatively common, at least here in the desert Southwest, although I had a garage sale a couple weeks ago and a bunch of people asked me about them, what were they, and I gave them a bunch of these, what we call top sets. So there is a bulb. 2 months ago these were stunning. These were stunning and they were upright and just lush and beautiful and putting out all this growth. But they call them walking onions because you see as they get bigger and heavier on top with these top sets, they kind of look like garlic cloves, but they're not. They fall over. They fall over and see they'll make contact with the ground, and then if they're in an optimum spot, they will root. In other words, they will root and then grow, fall over, root and grow, and they walk across your property. So there is a bulb. It's a small bulb that's in the ground, and you can eat it, but it's small, and of course once you eat the bulb, it won't grow anymore. So I started with some cuttings that someone gave me. I had maybe 10 of these little bulbs, and I really didn't know what to do with them. I Googled it, but I planted them in various spots in my yard, you know, not really understanding or knowing where they would do best. Dry shade was a no-go. That was like the worst spot. But if you get them in sun, and they will take a lot of sun, and you give them some water, they will really, really perform for you. My personal experience is at about 3 years, they'll be their biggest and prettiest, and then they won't die, but they start to decline in their vigor. But if you grow these, you will have so many of these top sets where you can separate them just like bulbs and plant them and get all new plants, so you will never ever run out of Egyptian walking onions. They are edible. They are just like very spicy onions, but you can see they're pretty small, so they're kind of a pain to use or prepare. But in a pinch, I have harvested some of the larger top sets and have actually sliced them up and put them on a sandwich. So, excuse me. So they actually are edible, and very often, especially in the spring when the greens are just coming up anew, they're pretty mature now, but when they come up anew, just snip them off like chives for your salad or whatever, and they are just delicious. So this is the Albuquerque area, Zone 7B. You can see how well they're doing. If you're in the Albuquerque area, I'd be happy to share some with you. Otherwise, I am sure you can find another plant provider somewhere and get your hands on a couple of bulbs, and in a year or so you will have an abundance. I've got them in my yard, I've got them in pots, I've got them in my backyard, I've given them away. So, and I actually lived in another city that's a little bit hotter south of here, and they grew fine there as well. So I don't know if you can see, my yard is just, it's not vigorous soil, as you can tell. There's a lot of rock. If you look, we're up here in the mountains. This is just a rocky, sandy, difficult place to grow, and my onions do fine. You can see here in this area here where they're pretty much growing in rock and a handful of soil I put in there. They're doing fine. They're not as big and vigorous as maybe some of these here that were in deeper pots and richer soil. But still, I mean, you can plant them just about anywhere except for the dry shade. They just don't like dry shade. So I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and find some Egyptian walking onions for your garden. Beautiful, architectural, I think. They give that height and shape to a garden, and edible too. I think you should try it. Good luck. We'll see you next time.